Good evening. I would like to call to order the March 16th, 2020 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, and this evening the mayor would like to recognize someone.
Thank you, Council President. At this time, I would ask for a moment of silence for a recently retired employee, Joseph Damiano, who passed away. Joe was a dedicated employee who worked for the Township of Old Bridge in the Department of Public Works for the past 14 years. He officially retired on February 1st, 2020, and passed away on March 8th, 2020. A memorial service was held in honor of Joe on March 12th at the Old Bridge Funeral Home right here in Old Bridge. Please know that Joe will always be remembered for his commitment to the Township of Old Bridge, and we all ask that we remember him and his family and in your thoughts and your prayers. Thank you, Council.
A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pasquini.
O Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear your voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us the strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that we have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and one another. Amen.
Madam
Amen.
Chairperson,
Yes, Mr. Merwin.
if we could, former Mayor Patrick Gillespie's father passed, and he was laid to rest today. If we have a moment of silence for Patrick Gillespie Sr.
Yes. Thank you very much. Everyone, please be seated.
Mr. De Palma?
Here.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Here.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pescitti?
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
President Sohar?
Here.
8 present.
Next will be approval of minutes, combined meeting, November 18th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg-Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next will be our bill list. Mrs. Walker?
Accounts payable March 16, 2020, $1,769,293.71.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg-Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti? Yes. Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll March 13, 2020, $1,028,591.02.
Do I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg-Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll overtime March 13, 2020, $34,656.89.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg-Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli. Mr. Shaw, may we have a breakout, please?
Yes, Council President, thank you. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, total payroll for this pay period was $34,656.89. There was an uptick in commuter parking lot utility, parking utility, and that's related to the repairs to the lot. For police department, total overtime for the sworn officer was $24,904.07. grant deduction, $4,467.51. The ETO deduction was $2,538.61. Net overtime for that period is $17,897.95, representing 353.50 man and women hours. During this period, PBA convention was held, and no officer was injured on duty at this period. That
Thank you
concludes my
very
report.
much, Mr. Shaw.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Madam President, before we continue, I just want to make a few announcements, if I could,
Yes.
regarding the agenda and the public portions of the meeting. I think, as everybody knows, as a result of the current situation involving the coronavirus, the public is being excluded from our council meeting this evening, physically being excluded. That a declaration of local emergency disaster was declared by the OEM coordinator in conjunction with the mayor of the township. One of the, as a result of that, in conjunction with the governor, has announced, as I stated, the public is being physically excluded from attending the council meeting this evening. However, the meeting is being broadcast on TV, OBTV Channel 15 or FiOS Channel 22. It is also being live streamed. There's a 30-second delay on the live stream. So I think you need to give individuals the opportunity to review it. So as we move through, just remember that before you continue to take action, so people, or you know, before they, your actions are happening, and then they have to wait some time before they see it. And individuals can access the live stream by going to the township's website, www.oldbridge.com, under the news items, and it's, again, it's on YouTube. So it's a live stream on YouTube. During the public portions of the meetings, which includes second readings for ordinances, and there's also the budget for tonight's meeting will also be open to a public hearing. The public will be allowed to telephone in comments because we have to have a portion of the meeting open to the public. This process that we're following is permitted. The Division of Local Finance Services issued a memo last week, or this week, I can't remember, I think last week, which talked about protocol and the ability to have meetings where the public is excluded, but giving them the public the opportunity to call in. The phone number, if once we get to those portions of the meeting that will be open to the public, is 732-607-7931, and that's also on our website. That's 732-607-7931. Now, that being said, what I would suggest for tonight's meeting is that rather than having the multiple opportunities for public comment, and given the fact that there's a 30-second delay, that council takes a vote to have one public comment, excluding the hearings for the ordinances and the budget, but one public comment session at the towards the end of the council meeting for the public to call in, and you can vote to adjust the agenda and the ordinance requirements to have multiple public openings by majority vote. So I would suggest at this time that council takes a vote to dispense with the various times for public comment, to have the one general public comment at the end of the meeting, and then also have the public comment sessions after the second hearings for the ordinances and after the budget. So I'd ask if somebody could make that motion.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion, please?
Council President,
Yes.
I just want to add the link is also available on Township Facebook page, OB-Town, and so is on a Twitter. So we have those links. Besides the Township website, it's also posted on a Twitter and a Facebook page.
Thank you very much for that information. So I have a motion from Mr. Rizzoli, a second by
and then
Mr.
what do we
Murphy.
do? Then hit
Can we have a
done.
roll call?
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
Then they'll be able, after the
Eight
budget,
yes.
there's a budget hearing. If they're going to do a presentation, then they'll have an attorney after they present it, and then after the second reading from the ordinances.
Next will be the budget hearing for the calendar year 2020, municipal budget presentation.
Thank you, Council President. Mayor will just do a brief introduction, and then I'll take over the budget presentation.
Thank you, council. Thank you, members of the council. We're here tonight to do our public presentation of our budget. Our 2020 budget, we're all very proud of. You've been involved in the workshops that put this budget together. This year, we did face some some hurdles that we did have to address, items that were outside our limit of control. I will mention publicly the recycling increase that we had to absorb within our budget. Overall, I would be remiss if I didn't thank everyone who participated in the process, our department heads, especially our finance department, for putting this together. This process, as we all know, starts in August, and here we are in where are we, March. The last couple of weeks have been very, we are in March now, and so I hope everyone sits back and enjoys the presentation. I think it says a lot about our community. Here we are in 2020 with a budget final number that's right around, or very close to, but I think still a little bit under by a few dollars, what the township was spending in 2011. We're at that point now, how many budget years later, cycle, and we are doing a lot more than the township did in 2011. Our services will continue to be improved. I think that's one of our goals. You will see that mentioned, to improve in 2020. And we will be here tonight to answer any questions from the public and from the council. So thank you. I appreciate your attending. Unfortunately, this is not the atmosphere we wanted to have with the budget. But please, anyone, ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for attending those 3 workshops. Before I begin the budget presentations, I just want to thank the Township Management Team, includes Nicole Shapiro, Township Engineer, Director of Community Development, Dawn Swobodo, Acting Finance Director, Tax Collector, Kyle Harris, Director of Public Works, Matt Mercurio, Director of Parks and Recreation, Chief Walker, Chief of Police, and the Administration of Police Department, her doctor, Sergeant Doctors, Patrick Reardon, Construction Official, Brian Enright, Tax Assessor, Sue Bruchet, Court Administrator, Stella Ward, Township Clerk, Avril Lamage, Human Resource Manager. I want a special thanks to my finance staff, all of them, but specifically Dawn and Victoria, who's been working tirelessly for the last 8 months in the preparation of this final budget that was introduced, and now tonight is a public hearing and adoption. 2020 municipal budget overview. The municipal budget represents 19% of the total tax rate and is the only portion of the tax bill the township official can directly control. The 19% covers the majority of municipal services that are provided to the residents of the township of Old Bridge, including code enforcement, community development, which includes engineering, planning, and zoning, health and senior services, parks and facilities, recreation program, public safety, includes police protection and emergency management, which we're seeing in real action these days, and public works, road recycling, and snow removal. The remaining portion of tax bill, 81%, funds the Old Bridge Public Schools, Old Bridge Public Library, Middlesex County Government, Middlesex County Open Space Program, and 4 fire districts: Cheesequake, Lawrence Harbor, Medicine Park, and South Old Bridge. So this is a 2020 tax rate breakdown. Some of the rates are estimated. The biggest slice on the is the school tax, which represents 58% of the total tax that township collects. It is important to recognize that township is responsible for collecting taxes for all agencies that are empowered to levy the township residents or property holders. So we collect for all of them, and we distribute their portion directly to them without holding 1 penny back. Municipal tax is the only tax township control, as I indicated earlier. County tax rate will be finalized by the County Board of Taxation based on a county-wide equalized valuation. So we have an estimate here. The total estimated tax for all the agencies is 5.207. 2020 municipal budget goals. As we begin budget process, we always we have these goals. Maintain or improve core municipal services for the citizen of Old Bridge, minimize tax impact and remain under statutory caps, continue to implement a sound and longer-term financial plan for the township, identify potential area of operational improvements and or cost savings for 2021 and 2022. You'll see in our budget presentations and in many areas, you'll see how we project the budget looking forward. For the past 2 years, one of our non-financial goals was to improve customer service. Thanks to our department's efforts, results are positive. We'll continue to further improve our efforts of providing the best customer service possible. That's our goal. Every time we meet, that's one of the things, that's the theme that we talked about, and I'm thankful for all departments to buy into that. I have been provided feedback from council members, from the public, that yes, the customer service has dramatically improved. 2020 municipal budget guideline. Under state law, a municipality must pass its annual budget in order to spend money and or tax residents for that year. Strict municipal budget forms are prepared and submitted to the state. State oversight performed by Division of Local Government Services under the Department of Community Affairs. Budget adoption requires state approval. By law, municipal tax levy must equal appropriation, which is the spending part of the budget, less non-tax revenues. Projected non-tax revenue cannot exceed last year's actual non-tax revenue. Actual expenditure cannot exceed the budgeted amount. Transfer within caps are only allowed in the last 2 months of the year. So as you can see, some of this statute and guideline that requires us that we have a very well formulated budget. We have, particularly in our appropriation side of the equations. But on the revenue side, we always conservative. We don't try to overproject, unlike state and federal governments that generates large deficits and then borrow money to fund. We do not have that authority. So we need to make sure that we have smart budget that covers expenses, because we have no ability to handle if we run out of the money during the year. 2020 municipal budget development process, as Mayor indicated, it's 8 months development process from start to finish. August of 2019, the process started for 2020 budget. Memorandum and budget guideline were sent to department heads. September 2019, department budget requests submitted to Finance Department. So Finance Department collects all department requests. September 2019 through January 2020, department budget review with administration, myself, finance staff, mayor. We meet several times to all departments, individually, collectively, and review the budget and make sure that all the services are properly funded. and that we're not overfunding or we're not underfunding. February 2020 proposed municipal budget was finalized and transmitted to council. It was on February 7, 2020. Municipal budget was introduced by Township Council on February 10, 2020. February 20 to March 2020, state aid certification. We're still waiting for the certification from the state. Council budget subcommittee meetings were held on February 18, February 26, and March 5th, where we went line by line, every line covering the budget presented to the council. Municipal budget public hearing is tonight, March 16. Potential budget adoption tonight, or it will be carried to the April meeting. State has reviewed our budget, as I indicated. There's a state oversight. They have reviewed, they have approved the entire budget in entirety. The only piece of information we're waiting for, the state aid portion of our revenue that state must certify to us. 2020 municipal budget summary. The 2020 proposed municipal budget calls for $56,299,412 in expenditure. Revenue includes $6,270,857 in municipal state aid, $3,705,610 in miscellaneous revenue, $2,100,000 in uniform construction code and code enforcement fees, $700,000 in receipt from delinquent taxes, $425,000 in municipal court fines and cost, $325,000 in interest on investment and deposits, and $35,064,180 as the amount to be raised by taxation. An anticipation of $7 million from fund balance will be required to bring the 2020 budget into balance. This will leave $3,103,036 in cash fund balance to help stabilize taxes for 2021. The proposed municipal tax rate, therefore, estimated to be 0.995 in 2020, which reflects a tax increase of 0.015 or 1.53% over 2019 of 0.980. For an average home in Old Bridge assessed at $154,390, in proposed municipal tax increase would be $25 from $1,511 in 2019 to $1,536 in 2020. 2020 library budget summary. The municipal library purpose expenditure category is included as an appropriation in the municipal budget. However, since 2011, the amount is deducted from municipal tax levy in the calculation of amount to be raised by taxation for municipal purposes. The 2020 minimum state required funding for Old Bridge Public Library is $2,788,823. The associated tax rate is estimated to be 0.079 in 2020, which reflects an increase of 0.002 in the tax rate over 2019 of 0.077. For average home in Old Bridge assessed at $154,390, the municipal library tax increase would be $3 from $119 in 2019 to $122 in 2020. We bring municipal and library together. The total general appropriation for 2020, including municipal library purpose, is $59,088,235 compared to $58,629,687 in 2019 budget as modified. This is a total budget appropriation increase of $458,548 or 0.78%. The proposed tax rate for both municipal and municipal library purpose for 2020 is therefore estimated to be 1.074, which reflects a tax increase of 0.017 over 2019 of 1.057. For an average home in Old Bridge assessed at $154,390, the proposed municipal and municipal library tax would be $28, from $1,630 in 2019 to $1,658 in 2020. Annual budget expenditure comparison from 2015 to 2020. This slide shows a breakdown of expenditure between salary and wages and other expenses and the library appropriation. The other expenses is in blue, salary and wage rep is in red, and you'll see a little sliver portion of library appropriation in the green at the bottom. As I indicated, 2020 recommended budget is $59,088,235,000, which includes $32,884,502 in other expenses, $23,414.910 in salary and wages, and $2,788,823 in total library expenses. 2020 expenditures. The salary and wage expenditure category has increased by $369,908 from $23,045,002 in 2019 to $23,414,910 in 2020. In addition to the contractual increases and minimum wage increase, the 2020 budget includes funding for one new full-time position in Police Department, a patrol officer, one new part-time position in Old Bridge TV, Public Information Coordinator, and additional funding for seasonal employee in Department of Public Works and Code Enforcement Department. The other expenses expenditure category has increased by $240,582 from $17,952,686 in 2019 to $18,193,268 in 2020. The major increase under this expenditure category is recycling, $460,454. The recycling increase is almost the same as a total budget increase of $458,548. It's actually slightly above. So we had to absorb the recycling. Tonight's on the council agenda. You have resolution. We tried to go out for the bid. We did not get, the bid came in at higher expenses, higher than the county. 2020 expenditures. The municipal debt service expenditure category has decreased by $27,523 from $5,233,905 in 2019 to $5,206,382 in 2020. This decrease is a result of managing of annual amortization improvement bond ratings. The statutory expenditure category has increased by $396,289 from $4,716,305 in 2019 to $5,112,594 in 2020. The major increase in this under this expenditure category is the police and firemen retirement system and public employee retirement system. The deferred charges expenditure category has increased by $12,802 from $87,488 in 2019 to $100,290 in 2020. The major increase under this expenditure category is the unfunded capital ordinances of the past. The capital improvement fund expenditure category has decreased by $40,000 from $300,000 in 2019 to $260,000 in 2020. The proposed capital budget for 2020 is expected to be $5,985,000 for the development of control farm, curbing, drainage, facility and road improvements, parks and playground improvements, and replacement of equipment, vehicles for various departments and divisions. Please note that proposed bond ordinance includes $1 million in grants from Green Acres for the development of control farm. The reserve for uncollected tax expenditure category has increased by $130,000 from $2,940,000 in 2019 to $3,070,000 in 2020. This is the statutory non-spending appropriation. The actual collection rate for 2019 was 99.30%. The projected tax collection rate for 2020 is 98.30%, 1% below the actual collection. And that's what I indicated earlier, that we always be conservative in our projections. The township suspended the accelerated tax sale in 2017 and went back holding a standard tax sale. We believe this is a positive change for the residents. This pie chart is breaking down the expenditure by category. Biggest slice is salary and wages, 39.63%. It's important to note that employee salary and benefit comprise 61.38% of the total expenditure in 2020 budget. And it's important to note that we are the service industry. We depend on our employee to provide the best service to the residents. Next biggest is the operating expenses, 30.79%. And we always keep an eye on our debt service, which is 8.81%. Will be discussed further during our capital presentation. This is our Sherwin-Williams color bills. This will be available to review detail on our website. Obviously, the biggest slice is a public safety. The next largest is insurance, including health and liability insurance. The public safety is paramount to our service to the citizen of Old Bridge. 2020 revenues. Total municipal revenue, including the municipal library tax levy, has increased by $458,548 from $58,629,687 in 2019 to $59,088,235 in 2020. The municipal stated revenue category has not been changed in 2020 at $6,270,857. There is more to talk about that particular line. The fund balance revenue category has not been changed in 2020, $7 million. That also has additional chart to show everyone. The uniform construction code fee revenue category has been increased by $450,000 from $1,650,000 in 2019 to $2,100,000 in 2020. Municipal court fines and costs revenue category has not been changed in 2020. The interest on investment and deposit revenue category has been increased by $175,000 from $150,000 in 2019 to $325,000 in 2020. The miscellaneous revenue category has been decreased by $294,742 from $4,352,000 in 2019 to $3,705,610 in 2020. Major decrease is FEMA reimbursement that we finally received from 2012 Superstorm Sandy and interlocal SRO, which was reduced. The receipt from delinquent tax revenue category has not been changed in 2020. The amount to be raised by taxation revenue category has been increased by $750,000 $52,969 from $34,311,211 in 2019 to $64,180 in 2020. Even though there is an increase in the amount to be raised by taxation of 2.19%, the tax rate, the actual tax rate that is billed to the residents is increased only by 1.53% due to increase in the assessed valuation. This pie chart further breaks down the 2020 revenues. The largest pie obviously is amount to be raised by taxation at 59.34%. Under the state law, we have limited ability to raise revenue from other sources. We cannot do sales tax, we cannot do any other tax, but we have to rely on a property tax. Third largest is the state aid at 10.61%. I'm sorry, second largest is the fund balance at 11.85%. So we have a significant amount of fund balance anticipated to soften the impact. Municipal state aid. State aid has been flat since 2015. In fact, it is flat since 2011, down by over $2.5 million from 2008. State is continued to impose state mandates on municipality, but does not provide any financial aid. In fact, the energy tax receipt, which was the franchise and tax receipt, was billed on everybody's utility bills, the public service and JCPL bill. Those money was originally dedicated for municipality. State has been slowly siphoning that money, and now they take more than 50% of that municipal revenue for the state purposes. So that's why you see the chart. It shows that we're flat. They're not providing any relief to the towns. Surplus anticipated. In 2015, we anticipated $6.5 million. In 2016, we increased it to $6,750,000 and used the same amount in 2017 and 18. Generally, we keep looking at our financial position before we decide to increase that, or other revenue source provide sufficient revenue and does not require the use of fund balance. In 2011, 10-11 time, fund balance was a big discussion. I think we have shown everybody that we have a right approach on use of fund balance and surplus. And then the next slide obviously will show in more detail the relationship between fund balance and surplus. So this slide shows the fund balance and the surplus in the budget from 2015 to 2020. The blue represents balance as of January 1st of each year. Red represents the fund balance anticipated in the budget as a surplus. So in every year budget, there's an item called surplus anticipated. That's the red color. Purple represents the cash balance through the year. And a green represents the balance as of December 31st of each year, which then carries over to the following year. The rating agency pays specific attention to fund balance when reviewing the rating. They like to see steady increases over time in cash fund balance. This is a part of our long-term financial planning, and it reflects in our bond rating, and it is an important factor in our goal to get the highest possible rating for future borrowing needs. Uniform construction and code fees. Anticipated revenue was increased in 2020, as you see, from $1,650,000 to $2.1 million. When anticipating revenue, we look at historical trends and also projects approved by the Planning and Zoning Board and the redevelopment agency. And we believe that we have a sound decision in increasing this revenue. Obviously, in the future years, we might have to bring that line down again based on the approved projects. Municipal court fines and costs. This was another revenue item. Had we show you going back to 2010-11, it was a big debated item. I think that township is obviously making a proper decision, is staying flat on this item of revenue. Interest on investment and deposits. Interest rates are slowly rising, and it reflects in our revenue projection. Although we might have a small downturn currently because of the health emergency that we're experiencing right now, we believe that we will achieve the amount that we have anticipated in the budget. We should exceed that, and hopefully this crisis will get over soon, and the rate will rise back to what they were in the beginning of the year. Miscellaneous revenue. This item of revenue includes interest and costs on taxes, tower rental fees, interlocal service agreements, licenses, pilots, that's payment in lieu of taxes, cable and franchise fees, fees and permits, and state and federal grants. So this item is a multiple item of revenue. Receipt from delinquent taxes, 2019 anticipated amount reflects the increase in delinquent tax receivable from suspension of the accelerated tax sale, and we kept the amount same for 2020. The anticipated amount is within the limit of statutory formula. There is a statutory formula defined by Division of Local Government Services that we must adhere to when we anticipate this item of revenue. The suspension of accelerated tax sale was something that both the taxpayer and township wanted to do. At one time, when we went on fiscal year, and we had a collection rate issues, we had switched to accelerated collection rate that was causing enormous strain on the residents. And we worked hard to achieve the collection rate and suspend that process. But obviously, if the collection rate dips again, we'll have to go back to the accelerated tax sale to make sure that we maintain our revenue. Part of the things to understand that the collection rates are critical because, as I indicated when we talked about reserve for uncollected taxes, is that we are required to fund 100% funding to school, county open space, fire districts. Their budget, they get 100% of their levy from us, regardless of our collection. And that's why the reserve for collection, reserve for uncollected tax is a critical item in our budget and protects us from a shortfall. Amount to be raised by taxation. The amount to be raised by taxation includes the library tax. The blue bar at the bottom reflects the library tax, and the red reflects the municipal tax. Brings to statutory caps. We cover all the amount in the budget through now, and now we're going to talk about the caps and other items. The cost of living cap adjustments enacted by the state require each municipality to limit any increase in state budget up to 2.5% annually set by state, unless authorized by ordinance to increase to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriation. For Old Bridge Township, the proposed final budget appropriation for 2020 is $45,330,322, which is $482,019 below the state mandated cap base of $45,812,341. So as you can see, that we are $482,019 below the 3.5% cap base. And our 2020 budget has increased 2.6% cap increases. So we're staying below the cap increases that is allowed under the statute. The property tax levy cap enacted in 2010 by state require each municipality to limit the local government's units amount to be raised by taxation to no more than 2% over the prior year's levy. The state allows specific exception for health benefit, pension, length of service award program, which is a LoSAP for volunteers, capital improvements, and debt service. For Old Bridge Township, the proposed municipal tax levy for 2020 is $35,064,180, which is $381,418 below the state mandated property tax levy cap of $35,445,598. The levy cap calculation is prepared and make sure that the township does not increase their levy by more than 2%, with the exceptions. State review our levy cap, and in fact, they had adjusted to slightly increase on the numbers that we were given. So here we go brief time through the time machine. We're going to go to the time machine. Fiscal health check. The doctor prescriptions. The municipal budget has been stabilized with average annual increase of 0.69% from 2011 to 2020. Non-recurring revenues are lower than non-recurring revenues from 2011 by $5.5 million, $517,760. It's a $42,240 in 2020 versus $5,560,000 in 2011. Fund balance is higher by $2,221,356 or 251.95%, $3,103,036 in 2020 versus $881,680 in 2011. With that improvement in our financial position, the municipal tax rate has been stabilized with average annual tax rate increase of 1.04% from 2011 to 2020. The average CPI index increase over the last 10 years was 1.62%. So our rate has increased below the CPI, significantly below. Bond ratings. Moody's assigned AA2 ratings to the Township of Old Bridge for $3.9 million GO refunding bond series 2012. We achieved the rate of 1.2% that year. Remember, that was when the federal government was providing a lot of relief and the rate was down. Moody's assigned AA2 rating and offered positive outlook to the Township of Old Bridge for $9.8 million GO bonds series 2014, and we had a rate of 1.81%. Positive outlook is basically indicating there is an improvement in financial position of the township. Moody's upgraded ratings to AA1 and assigned the new ratings to the Township of Old Bridge for $3.7 million energy savings improvement bonds series 2015. So in 2015, we received our upgrade to AA1. And it's important to note that AA1 is one notch below AAA. So we are right at AAA, and from our auditors, and I think he had made the comments in the past at the budget hearing that the rate that we receive on our borrowing is equivalent to our AAA ratings. Moody's assigned AA1 ratings to the Old Bridge Municipal Utility Authority for $5 million revenue refunding bond series. So not just the township, the MUA, the school, they all benefit with a better bond ratings. Moody's assigned AA1 ratings to the Township of Old Bridge for $20 million GO bond series 2017. Moody's assigned AA1 ratings to the Township of Old Bridge for $8.5 million GEO bonds in 2019. The fortune teller, Dawn the fortune teller. 2021-22 potential challenges. National, state, and local economic condition. We are facing some economic difficulty this year. Hopefully we'll weather the storm. Weather-related emergency and related costs, knock on the woods. This year we haven't seen the snow. Hopefully we don't experience major snowfall major snow in the fall. Impact of pandemics. Coronavirus, obviously what we're seeing right now, it's a life-changing events occurring, and what impact it's going to have on our financial position, future will tell. Contractual, statutory cost increases. Our contracts with 9 labor unions are expiring either at the end of 2020 or 2021. That includes PBA, FOP, those are the 2 police, and captain, those are the 3 police unions. Crossing guards, dispatchers, APSME, which is a DPW supervisors, USW, which is a DPW members, Teamster professional, and Teamster non-professional. Accumulated time payouts for retirees. Order to implement municipal-wide revaluation and related cost. As you know, we've been ordered to do the revaluations. We are in the process this year, next year, and so there is going to be a cost associated with the reval, and we're going to bring it back to the council sometimes later this year what those costs are, what the steps we need to take. Along with that, we're going to have to deal with the tax appeal refunds. I remember in 1993, we had to borrow $3.6 million to pay back the refunds from the tax appeal that are awarded by either county or courts. Although I do have a faith in our tax assessor, he does an excellent job in controlling that. Recycling cost increases. Future cut to municipal state aid is flat. Who knows when they're going to start reducing it then. I don't see any hope with the state increasing the state aid. With the challenge, obviously, there are potential opportunities that I want to enumerate. Ongoing cost containment. We have achieved some short-term and long-term cost containment for health benefits through our negotiation. Last 2 years, we had no increase in our health insurance cost. Our employee contributes, they also benefit when we have no increase. This is the last year, I believe, we have a no increase in our health insurance cost. In fact, last year, we saw some significant refund that we share with our employee because now they contribute to the health insurance cost. Through contract negotiation, stipends are provided for employee in DPW and parks to obtain licenses needed to perform services that we currently outsource. So we're trying to bring back some of those services. We offer incentive to our employee, and they have welcomed that opportunity. They are working on it, getting licensed. That obviously going to reduce our cost. Competitive contract for services. By using reverse auctions, we are able to get the best price on our energy. We've been doing energy auctions for the last several years, and we've been achieving very good rate on our energy cost. We also did a bond sale last year with the reverse auctions. When you do reverse auction, it allows nationwide investor to purchase our debt, and more people that are interested in our debt purchase, the lower the rate. Cooperative purchasing for goods and services. We use local, state, and national co-op to get the best price. When we don't see a price advantage, then we go out to bid. So you see throughout the year, council approves the bid. Those are our internal process. We look at it. But if there is an opportunity from state contract or different co-ops that has done similar process, then we take advantage of that. We continue to implement new technology within the township. We have currently implemented the following online services for the employee and residents. That includes GovOnline for construction offices. Very few town offers online application for the construction permits. Human resources payroll, online employment applications that reduces the work in HR. HR portal, our internet initiative for better communication with our employee, obviously reduces the paperwork, printing, copying, as well as cutting down the trees. Online payment portal for taxes, fees, and license, parking permit, police reports have been in place for several years. I think Old Bridge has been pioneer in offering online payment services. And we do collect significant revenue through online payments. Our information reach website provides 24/7 information and business experience to residents. Cloud-based work orders processing for public works and parks was implemented in 2017. New GIS system is now updated for ease of use. Parking payment solution utilize a smartphone payment system. After the initial problems, it has been working very well and well accepted by the residents. Off-site storage of computer data for disaster recovery, which is stored. We have a remote site where we store our backups in Bridgewater. That's our safeguards to protect from disaster, or somebody's trying to access our system, viruses, hacks, and causes a problem. Federal, state, and county and local grants program. Joint grant writer with the school focuses on receiving the maximum amount of grants revenue. You heard earlier I said we got $1 million from state Green Acres for Cottrell Farm development. We also, every year, we get a large amount with the efforts of engineering for the road projects, the road improvements. There's always one road, large road we cover through the state aid. CDBG grant through HUD provided annual federal grants. We annually receive public safety related grants as well as recycling related grants. Additional or enhanced shared services with Old Bridge Public Library, Old Bridge Public School, Middlesex County Government, Hackensack Meridian, Raritan Bay Hospital, and or neighboring municipality. We have a shared services for years with the county for recycling program and health services, shared services with Board of Education for school security, before and after daycare program and grant writer, and also our fuel facility. We have that with not just the school, first aid, fire companies, they all use our fuel facility. Opioid recovery with Woodbridge Township, Municipal Alliance for Opioid Awareness with school and hospital. We have a shared services, Monroe Township, for animal shelter services that brings revenue to the animal shelter, and a business alliance for Mayor's Office of Economic Development, continue to work with the businesses in town. Council members, that concludes my presentation. I want to offer, and I need Mark's help. While we haven't received stated certification, I'm proposing that council proceed with adoption of the budget. Should that change, we'll bring back to the council any amendment that's necessary. But I think that, I think we obviously we need to open to the public, and at the conclusion, if our legal department would allow, I would like council to adopt it. Okay. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, so what I would do at this point, again, there's a delay, so you just wait. At this point, if you would open up to the public for public comment. If any members of the public wish to call in, they can do so now, again, by dialing the phone number 732-607-7931. That's 732-607-7931. And that phone number, I guess, is on the township's website as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rizzo.
That's the judges.
Mark, how many minutes should she set on the timer? I mean, put on the timer.
It's open. So wait. It might take a little couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's streaming. Yeah, Mary's watching.
That Mary. That Mary.
She's streaming.
Okay.
Close the public.
All right. Seeing that we have had no one call in, I will now. Right, there's the delay, exactly, right. So seeing that.
Wait a minute. We have a call. Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? Okay. You have the council, you have the Old Bridge Township Council meeting.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, the
She'll give her
question
name
is
as well, same thing.
concerning,
We need to have your name, please.
yes, name is Alicia Rahacek.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Alicia.
Yeah, the question is concerning the state emergency and the national emergency. How does this affect the budget?
Okay.
Shaw will address you.
All right, Mr. Shaw is going to address your question.
Thank you.
Obviously, the emergency, right now, we have a limited impact. We also believe that since the state, federal government has declared emergency, we are to receive FEMA funding from FEMA to support our needs. There are avenues to handle emergency if it comes further down the road, related to if we have to suspend services or stop operations, and there is an impact to that. We'll see how that is impacted. Obviously, if we do need additional funding during the year, the township has an option to adopt an emergency appropriation to address those. So as of now, we haven't seen the large impact, major impact yet, and we're hoping that federal funding will be available to support municipality.
Okay, Alicia? Do you have any other questions?
That's all for now. Thank you so much for doing this as a live service.
All right, thanks for calling in, Alicia.
Thank you.
Have a nice night. Okay. We have one more. Okay. Good evening. Can we help you? This is the Old Bridge Township Council meeting.
Yes, Camacho held up one of his
Can we have your name, please?
Nina Joknowitz. Hi, Stella.
Hello,
Hello,
Nina.
neighbors and councilmen and women. So what I want to know is Camacho put up an interest rate, an interest paid out graphic. Could he put that back up on the screen? Because it looked like it was logarithmic in growth. Is that possible? He flew through that slide. You actually flipped out that slide and then flipped right back past it, as though it didn't
All right,
matter what.
he's looking for it now, Nina. Watch your screen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not done.
Nina, is that
Yes.
the one that you were referring to?
I can't see it. All we see is the people. There's probably a delay.
There's a delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this slide is correct.
Explain to Hamacho, I can still not see anything.
Okay,
Either
there is a slight delay, so
Yeah.
give it a couple of seconds.
Of course,
Thank you.
of course.
Ask her if that's the screen.
Nina, is that the screen?
All I do is I see Hamacho right now, but I don't see the slide itself.
Nina, what are you watching the slide on?
There is no slide. Right now, Hamacho is...
Right, what are you what are you watching on?
Okay,
I think her screen is
I'm
frozen.
watching on YouTube.
She's watching on YouTube, Mary. The slide is on YouTube. We have it on our phones here.
I'm right on YouTube. It says council meeting. Hold on a minute. Maybe it's delayed. There's some delay. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. You know what? I had a slight delay because I stopped for a second to call you guys. I apologize. Yeah, so the question is, I'm looking at 2019 being 150 and 2020 being 220,000. And it looks like an enormous jump on the interest rates. Can you explain where that jump is coming from and what we would expect to see in 2021 and beyond? Because although it looked like it was a little bit over, it was about a 50% increase between 100,000 and 150,000 over 2018 and 19. Now it's another over 50% increase between 2019 and 2020. So we're looking at almost $700,000 in interest on investments / deposits that we're going to have to pay out in 2021. So can you tell me what is projected on this, Camacho?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, yeah, we're doing such a good job. That's why we have a high revenue. Yes, this slide is correct. I went through that. I went through in detail about this slide, that interest rate was slowly rising last couple of years. If you recall, the Fed was at 0 back in 2015-16 time, but they slowly started to rise, and it has risen to the point where we have we generated significant revenue. So when we prepare the budget based on those last year's actual collections, we are correctly representing this revenue. And we do still believe.
Wait, this is revenue? I thought this was the interest paid out on things, on loans.
No, this is revenue.
Okay, you had maybe you had another slide that was interest paid out on loans. Was that the other slide that I saw?
We did talk about it was I don't know if it was. Yeah, our debt service maybe.
I was talking about the amount of money the town is paying on interest on the loans that we have, the outstanding money. And from this slide, when you discussed it, although I may have obviously been mistaken, I thought you were talking about interest in money paid out, not interest taken in on investment. I thought it was.
I don't believe there is a slide on a bond. No, there's no, I did mention the debt service. So if you go to slide 12. Go to slide 12.
Expenditures?
No, it does talk about municipal debt service.
Yeah. Dawn, slide 12.
Right, it'll be up in a few minutes, Nina. They just put it back up.
Okay, so it's going from $1.6 million in costs to $2.1 million in costs? Or is this also interest?
No,
This is fees. These
You-
are fees. This is also money brought into the town. I'm
okay.
actually talking about money paid out.
Right. Ask her if
There,
she sees the slide.
expenditures.
Do you see the slide up there now, Nina?
Yes, I do.
So the first, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir.
So if you look at the first bullet points, the municipal debt service expenditure category has decreased by $27,523 from $5,233,905 in 2019 to $5,206,382 in 2020. This decrease is a result of managing annual amortization and improved bond ratings. Now, what I said is that there's going to be more additional presentation in our capital ordinances, our capital budget presentation. You'll see a more detailed breakdown by the year and other information, but there is no slide here.
Okay, I understand. Can I ask you a
This-
favor? I know that you.
Okay, let me clarify one thing, but though. This is not just the interest payment. This includes principal and interest that we pay back.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next slide that you slipped past right now was the pie chart. That was right after this, maybe 14, page 13, 14.
Expenditures.
It was a pie chart that you had on your
Okay.
expenditures. So I know that you try very hard to make sure that we understand this as residents, and of course, obviously, the council themselves. But if you were to make the visuals consistent throughout your presentation, it would help the audience, like myself. Expenditures, there you go. So I understand the total budget and everything else,
Okay.
but here you have,
Okay, Nina, we have to sum it up,
okay.
because I have a couple of calls waiting also.
I do want to say one thing. I want to note to the council that there was a $1 million Cottrell Farm fund that was given to by the freeholders to the township, that you had mentioned that the freeholders give you no money. Thank you.
That's a Green Acres funding, staked.
All right, thank you, Nina. All right, hello, welcome to the council meeting, the Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Can give me your name, please?
Sherry Wexler, Old Bridge.
Okay, all right, Sherry, what can we help you with tonight on the budget?
Oh, is this regarding the budget? I
This-
thought this was the public comment.
No, this is regarding just the budget right now.
Oh, okay. Then I don't have a question about that. I apologize. I'll
That's
call back
okay.
later.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Right, same thing. Still, just like as if they're here, their name and address for the record.
Okay. Welcome to the Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Can we have your name and address, please?
Yes, hello. My name is Christopher Eskison. I'm a resident of Old Matawan Road, 92 Old Matawan Road, and I'm calling to talk about the plans to build a 5-story building in the where the old school was.
No, we're right now, we're discussing only the budget, because that's what we have up on the platform right now to take a vote on. So the council meeting is open only to the budget at this moment. All right, you'll have time later to have comments.
Oh, I did not realize that. I waited, I watched the whole thing, and then you finally
okay.
said it was open for public comments.
Right,
and,
the
and I
budget,
decided
yes,
to
the
call.
budget was open for public comment. All right, you
All
can
right.
you can
Thank
call back
you. I'll
after.
try back.
Thank you. All right, cool. That's it, we don't have any more holding. Close the public portion?
Okay, we will now be closing the public portion. We're finished with our phone calls, and I will go to council comments.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
We have to shut it down. Okay, now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're all good to go now, and we'll move forward with the council comments. Anyone on my right for a council comment? Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, Chairwoman. First of all, I want to say, Mr. Hamacho, I want to thank you and the mayor. I attended all 3 of the workshops. I think it did a hell of a job. I think it did, the big things for me were the code enforcement. I'm hearing a lot better stuff about them. And the police department, you're back up where you have enough men. I know I always say something that I think might be funny or stupid or something, but this whole thing, what's going on right now, reminds me of a book written by Charles Dickens called A Tale of Two Cities, where he says it's the best time and the worst times, the best of the worst times, the best of the best times. But you probably won't understand that right now. But the one thing I really wanted to bring up, I saw it at the meetings, at the workshops, and I see it here. The budget, the budget, 74% of our budget is the school and the county. Is that right?
Higher, almost 81%. Well, yeah, no.
Well, I'm not taking the other, I'm just taking, yes. And that's of a 93%, that's of 93% of the budget.
That's the levy.
Yes.
Just remember it.
And we're only 19%. And I understand that if we didn't have the recycle, there would have been no increase at all. But what I was wondering, if next year, if somehow we could break down, I don't know if legally you can do that or not, what the county, where their money's going that we're giving them, and where the Board of Ed money's going that we're giving them, can we do that next year?
I think they're responsible for their budget. Their budget is published. Public vote, public has, just like we have a budget hearing, the school and the county both has a public hearing. The public can attend. Us trying to put together, I think it's appropriate is that we send, if the council chooses, they can send a request to each agency for further breakdown like we do.
Yes.
To them, but it's appropriate for them to provide that information than township.
I understand, but I just think it's never going to end. They're going to keep going up, and it's observed that they get, more than half of our budget money. So that's all I wanted to bring up at this time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Anyone else on my right? Mr. Pescitti?
Yeah, I too want to thank you, Hamachu and Mayor, for the hard work, and your team, obviously, presenting a really tight and good budget. And I know with the recycling, it was a serious curveball to our town. It was a big number that we had to, fund. So I think you did a really good job, and really appreciate it. Thank you. Kudos.
Anyone else on my right? How about on my left? I'll start here with Mr. Rizzoli. Any comments? Dr. Greenberg, nobody? Okay. No.
I just have a question. Usually with the state aid certification, when do they usually give that to us?
Well, we should have got the state certification at the beginning of the year. We've been calling, Dawn has called them about half a dozen times, and they're not deciding. I mean, and I don't think that they can lower that amount because that energy tax receipt, there's guarantee amount, yet they continue to just delay it. I have no idea why.
It just gives me pause, that when a municipality even takes the time and requests for the information, and it puts a burden on you, also, as I can imagine, a lot of extra stress that's unnecessary, and it goes back to the same thing with the state with the Board of Ed. So, it's a grave concern to me, and I hope the state steps up. And I know that we're in a crisis now, but we certainly, in January, they should have done their due diligence and provided us with this information. Thank you for letting me know that they usually do it earlier.
Okay, anyone else for comment? I'll just close the comments by also saying thank you to the whole team, administration, the mayor. I think it's a very good budget. I think it's done very professionally, and I think over the past years now, we've established a really good way of budgeting and doing our budgets. So thank you all very much for all the hard work that you've done for us.
Thank you, council, for your support.
Yes, I would, someone make,
Now, you'd ask for, Madam President, a move to adopt the budget?
yes. Do I have a motion?
A motion?
Move it.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mr. De Palma.
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Merwin. Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti.
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you all very much. Next will be the capital budget presentation for the year 2020.
I think we skipped the ordinance to establish municipal budget appropriation limits and cap bank.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Dawn, you're right. Ordinance to establish the municipal budget appropriation limits and cap, yes. Thank you.
Move it.
Wait, is that a hearing or an introduction?
Second hearing. And
Second hearing.
All right, so, okay, no. Has it already been introduced?
it was introduced on February 10th.
Okay, so this would be the public hearing for that. So you need a motion to open to the public. We got to do something about this agenda. Ordinance number,
H1.
what is it?
No, I'm sorry.
An ordinance to
NJ.
establish the municipal budget appropriation limits and cap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14 for calendar year 2020.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Piscatty, second by Dr.
Who was it
Greenberg.
moved by?
Mr. Piscatty?
And seconded?
Dr. Greenberg Belli. So we'll open it up to the,
So any members of the public who wish to comment upon this ordinance can call in now. This is only ordinance to establish the municipal budget appropriation limits and cap bank. And same number, 732-607-7931. All right, we're having received no calls from the public. Is there a motion to close?
Make a motion?
so we close the public portion, we wait the 30 seconds, correct?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
You have to do this again. 1 minute.
To close the public portion.
Was the line open while we did that?
All right, yeah, there was a delay. We have to wait a little while.
Does it reset, Stella, just so I know, I don't want to?
No. I don't have anything there. No.
I think it matters.
Yes, we took a motion and a second to close the public.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes. Thank you.
Now we
I need a roll call on adoption.
the
You need a motion?
Yes.
uses
Make a motion?
Second.
limits and caps.
It's a motion to adopt ordinance to establish municipal budget appropriation limits and cap bank. Get a motion and second. Motion by Mr. Pescitti, second
Zoe?
Mr. Rizzoli.
No.
Voted on the public session, on the public, close the public portion of the meeting. So now you're voting on the adoption of the ordinance.
Do we have a first and second on that?
Yes, we said. What, for the public? Yeah, he's, since it's this
'Cause I
format
did
for
it.
tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion and a
Yes, we
second on
do.
this?
Yes, Mr. Pescetti, Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay. Next will be the capital budget presentation, calendar year 2020.
Council President, this year, Dawn is going to do the full presentation.
Right, Dawn.
Thank you, Himanshu. I'll try and be as quick and painless as possible.
Good evening. Thank you, Dawn.
All right, start out with a general overview. Capital Improvement Program is a multi-year plan and schedule for capital projects. Capital projects have a prospective useful life of 5 years or more. Capital projects may include the acquisition and/or development of land, the acquisition of major equipment and personal property, the acquisition, construction, improvement, and/or renovations of buildings, roads, utilities, and other structures, improvements of public works, and any other matter described in NJSA 40A:2-22, regardless of financing sources. The annual capital budget is prepared and adopted in conjunction with the annual operating budget. Administrative preparation of the annual capital budget includes a thorough review of each departmental project request in terms of need, justification, scheduling, cost, effect on operating budget, method of financing, and the impact of the municipal debt structure. The capital budget does not directly appropriate funds. The appropriation of funds is made part of the capital improvement section of the budget and/or by the adoption of a bond ordinance. Tonight we have on the schedule for 2 bond ordinances, one for general improvements and one for the arena improvements. Upon completion of a project, any unexpended balances are canceled by council resolution. Capital improvement planning and budget goals. Continue to develop a comprehensive 6-year capital program on an annual basis that supports township goals and objectives for equipment, facilities, infrastructure, and technology. Continue to develop and implement a management system for prioritizing, tracking, and reporting on capital projects to ensure timely acquisition and/or completion. About 2 years ago, we started holding capital projects meetings, usually on a quarterly basis or every other month, just to make sure, projects are moving ahead or need to be canceled if we're not going to move forward with them. We maximize the utilization of grants to offset capital costs and related debt service. As discussed tonight, we're receiving that $1 million grant from Green Acres, state funding. And also, we usually fund 1 or 2 of our road projects through NJDOT money or also CDBG funding, federal HUD grants. We minimize the property tax impact of capital projects and related debt service through sound financial planning and balancing debt repayment schedules. Now, I'm just going to briefly go through the last 5 years of capital budgets and where we stand now. Every year, we do have, our annual curbing, drainage, and road improvements throughout town. For 2015, just a couple to highlight, we had the Furman Boulevard stabilization, which resulted from Superstorm Sandy, arena cooling tower replacement at the Isa Ring, and our DOT project that year was Trans Old Bridge Road improvements. For 2015, the total authorized was $4,494,000, and as of today, the unexpended balance is $147,530.66. Moving on to 2016, some projects to highlight. Civic Center retaining wall, pedestrian safety improvements at Route 9 and Old Mill Road, traffic signal at Route 34 and Amboy Road. That was the township share of the traffic study there. And passenger buses for Silver Lining Center. For 2016, the total authorized was $4,644,500. As of today, the unexpended balance is $52,777.20. 2017 capital budget. We have municipal complex parking improvements that were completed last summer, building security improvements and building safety improvements that are ongoing, arena roof improvements, Ticetown Road improvements, that was our state aid project, and traffic signal at Route 9 and Spring Valley Road. For 2017, the total authorized was $4,467,000. As of today, the unexpended balance, $308,265.87. For 2018, continued building security improvements, campus security camera upgrades, at the library rooftop HVAC unit replacement that was completed last summer. Phase 1 of the Cottrell Farm Park, which will be multiple phases, over a couple years. Again, for the senior center, a passenger bus and a sanitation truck for Public Works. Total authorized in 2018, $5,028,400. As of today, the unexpended balance, $910,324.99. 2019, under equipment, we have My Senior Center software scanners. While it's a small amount of our capital budget, it is very beneficial in helping us to apply for grants because it's able to better track the number of members that are using the services, and it's really increased it a lot. Facility improvements, municipal security upgrades, update and replacement lighting at Lawrence Harbor Waterfront Boardwalk, parks improvements besides the Cottrell Farm Park, Geik Park Ball Field synthetic turf conversion and replacement. We had money for Phase 1 in 2019, and we'll actually have money for Phase 2 in the 2021 budget next year. New irrigation system at Higgins Soccer Complex. Again, some money in last year's budget. There's some more money in 2020's budget. Under road improvements, Spring Valley Road culvert. Vehicles, Department of Public Works, compact utility loader, and a single axle dump truck. Total authorized for 2019 was $6,085,000. As of tonight, unexpended balance, $3,857,486.78.
Dawn, just to alert council, the reason we have a large unexpended balance is that the big project in authorized last year was parks improvement, Cottrell Farm development. We have done some Phase 1. We have some delays due to the state historical requirement that kind of delayed us. But I think that project is going to move forward this year in full speed. and you'll see this funding, this amount that you authorize will just spend between, 2019, and there's more authorized in 20.
Okay. For 2020 capital budget, I'll go through the whole list of projects. We have our annual curb replacement program. The street lists are included as an attachment in Novus for the bond ordinance by ward for curbing, drainage, and road improvements. We have our annual drainage improvement program at various locations, Cheesequake Village head wall, drainage improvements at Darwin Road and Madison Avenue intersection. For equipment for our MIS department, server storage box replacement and video camera server replacement. For our municipal court, courtroom video and recording equipment upgrades. Silver Linings Outdoor Wellness Center. For our police department, community crime cameras, in-car camera systems, pole-mounted radar speed signs, and taser equipment. For our Department of Public Works, flail mower attachment, lawn mower, mobile columns, snow plow, and a tailgate spreader. For facilities improvements, municipal security upgrades, dispatch refurbishment and upgrade, indoor shooting range refurbishment, courtyard landscaping and hardscaping, HVAC upgrades, new power feed cables and replacement of 3 electric breaker panels at the administration building, replacement of hot water heater at the Public Works building, replacement of transformer for the TV studio, and replacement of bleachers at the ice rink. Furniture and equipment for the police substation, and tables and benches at the ice rink. For parks improvements, continued development of Cottrell Farm Park, Central Park basketball court resurfacing, Lawrence Harbor basketball court resurfacing, new irrigation system at Higgins Soccer Complex, pickleball court installation at Menino Park, and playground at 5th Street basketball courts. Road improvements, our annual road resurfacing program, Spring Valley Road culvert, that's additional funding. For vehicles, for Public Works, a dump truck and Vector truck, a utility truck for OEM, and SUV vehicles for Department of Public Works and Code Enforcement. The total project amount is $6,105,800. That includes the $1 million in the grant funding. We have Section 20 costs of $79,200 for a total of $6,185,000. We have a down payment of $260,100, which is included or provided for in our 2020 budget and also leftover money from prior year's budgets, which brings our net borrowing to $4,924,900. The final step is the capital funding process. It begins with the adoption of a multi-purpose capital bond ordinance, which authorizes project borrowings. As I said on tonight's agenda, there's the 2 bond ordinances for public hearing and adoption. The next step is the issuance of short-term bond anticipation notes, or BANs. Notes are limited to 1-year expiration from the date of issue. It's important to note the township does not immediately borrow funds. Once the project starts, the finance department reviews all authorized projects and determines the amount that we need to borrow. The short-term ban borrowing happens over multiple years as the projects within the bond ordinance progresses. We renew these bans for an additional 2 or 3 years to allow the projects to be completed and the final amount of borrowing to be determined. The bans are renewed annually until the project's complete. Some of the notes are paid down each year. You'll see that in our operating budget. And then also new money is added as additional projects are started. Then conversion of the multiple short-term bans by the issuance of long-term bonds. Generally, after 2 or 3 years, we'll combine multiple ban issues into a long-term bond issue. So we issued bonds last year in 2019, and we'll look to issue bonds in 2021 or 2022, depending on the amount needed to borrow and also the current interest rates. Annual amortization for township debt is approximately 8.81% of the total annual budget. We try and keep this debt service as flat as possible from year to year, so we don't have any large fluctuations in our operating budget. The rating agencies find this percentage to be very reasonable and well managed by our municipalities. They generally like to see it under 10%. This is reflected in the township's AA rating from Moody's Investor Services, which is the second highest rating that Moody's assigns. The high rating has an impact on the borrowing rate and financing costs, which has helped reduce our borrowing rate and gives us lower financing costs, which is then passed on to the taxpayers. Our method of amortization has been recognized by these rating agencies, as the next slide will show. This is our current debt amortization. It includes township-issued bonds for general capital and the Arena Fund, as well as the Environmental Infrastructure Trust Loan, which is going to end in 2024. It does not include bans or projects authorized, but debt was not issued. Our current debt amortization is over the next 16 years. Why is the amortization important? These projects provide a long-term benefit, so the improvements done today have a lifespan or benefit over the next 5, 10, or 20 years. So, we don't want to put it all into one budget. The debt cost gets paid over the useful life of the improvements. The township's policy is not to borrow more than we retire. So there's enough room in this amortization schedule for additional borrowing in future years. Future bond issues will fill in the later years with new amortization, which then minimizes the impact on the operating budget. And we also try and keep each bond issue, to 10 to 12 years and also under $10 million, because then it's considered bank qualified and we're able to receive a better rate. This is just a graphic presentation of the outstanding debt. As you can see, it's a pretty, swift drop down, but as I stated, as the years go on, we'll fill that in with additional debt, so to keep it level. Recommended council action items: public hearing and adoption of the bond ordinances for the 2020 capital budget. It's recommended that council adopt the ordinances tonight so our department heads can keep moving forward with the capital improvements. And all my pictures are at a safe distance.
Can you identify who are there?
I think I did last year. Did I again? Okay. Left to right, Himanshu, myself, Captain Mandola and Sergeant Doctors, Kyle Harris, our Public Works Director, Matt Mercurio, our Recreation Director, Nicole Shapiro, our Township Engineer, and Mayor Henry.
Well, thank you. That was a very good presentation. Thank you very much, Dawn.
Madam President, I'd recommend, along with the capital budget, there are two corresponding bond ordinances as referenced by Dawn, one being bond ordinance number 2020-05, providing for appropriation of $5,985,000 for various improvements in and by the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $4,735,000 bonds or notes of the Township for financing part of the appropriation, and bond ordinance number 2020-06, providing an appropriation of $200,000 for various arena utility improvements in and by the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $189,900 bonds or notes of the Township for financing part of the appropriation. That you open all three of those so you can entertain the public questions or comments relative to the capital budget presentation, bond ordinance number 2020-05 and 2020-06 at the same time. So at this point, you would open up. Anybody, if the public wants to call in on the capital budget and those two bond ordinances, now is the time to call and ask your questions, again, by calling 732-607-7931.
Okay. And this is based upon what the attorney said, what you're calling in for now. Good.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to close the public portion. You made the motion?
No, Mr. Merwin.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Murray and Mr. Rizzoli, right? Okay. So then we will now close the public portion.
Yeah, wait a minute.
File. Mary, 1 minute.
Right now, you want to take a roll call on the motion to close.
Okay. All right. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
Now, you would ask for
8 yes.
Make a motion to move them,
all three.
all three.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mary.
Yes, Mr. De Palma.
Just for the bond ordinances,
This is-
because of my full-time role, I have to abstain from the bond ordinances. I can vote on the capital budget.
Okay.
So when your vote
noted.
comes up, you note the abstentions for the two bond ordinances.
Okay. We're voting on all three of these, Stella.
Separately, though.
Well, this is a roll call for all three, so to the extent that someone will voice, if they have a yes, if there's a no, they'll articulate if there's a no. If they have any different vote for one of the three, they should articulate what that is. But they're being taken as a package.
Council President, if I may, before you take a vote,
Yes,
I'd just
Mr.
like to make
Mayor.
a comment on the capital budget and urge the council to support the capital budget. If you look past the past 6 years, we've invested over $30 million back into this community. Besides adopting the municipal budget, this is probably the most important thing you can do for your constituents. It's a direct investment in them, and over the years, those investments have paid dividends back to our residents. So I really urge you to adopt this capitalist budget so we can keep moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Now I'm taking a roll call.
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes for the capital budget, abstain to the two bond ordinances.
If council members could indicate when their vote to state what the vote's for.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes for all three, the capital improvements and also the two ordinances.
Thank you. Mr. Merwin?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Yes for all three.
You. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes for all three.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes for the capital budget and the two bond ordinances.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes for all three.
President Soha?
Yes, for all three.
Thank you, council.
7 yes for bond ordinance 2020-05, 7 yes for 2020-06, and on the... There was one abstention, oh, I'm sorry, and one abstention on both of those.
It was 8, right? It was 8.
On the bond ordinances, there were 7 yeses and 1 abstention.
Abstention on the bond ordinances. The capital was 8. And we have no calls.
Okay. Thank you again, Dawn, for that very good presentation. Next will be public hearing and ordinances for second reading. H1, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Stavola, Old Bridge Materials, LLC, Block 5001, Lot 13.12, application number 104-03Z.
The engineer?
There she is.
Mr. Hardy?
You know what I would suggest, again, similarly, if we do them as a package, so that when we open up to the public, then members of the public can call on either one. And I would note, in light of the situation that we have, that we, I thought it would be appropriate, again, while typically there'd be a representative here from the applicants, based upon a recommendation engineer and what she may indicate in her report, that the need for those individuals to appear could be dispensed with, and then based upon the engineer's recommendation, then council can either vote in favor of or against, or decide to continue if they feel it's needed.
Okay. Good evening. How are you tonight?
Good evening. Thank you, Council. This is an application that was in front of our zoning board for Stavola Old Bridge Materials LLC. They were actually just doing a small curb repair so that they could have an additional entrance for circulation on their property, so that they could add another scale house. The project has been completed. Every bonded item has been completed satisfactorily. The application was inspected by the engineering office. And because there's no public improvement, no maintenance bond is required, we just ask that the applicant pay any outstanding escrow fees, if there are any, and subject to the council's approval, we have no objections to the release.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now the next one would be H2, which is Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Nassau Development 6 LLC, Park Plaza Mall, 343 and 351, Route 34, Block 3231, Lot 17, application number 108-99P.
Thank you, Council President. This application was in front of our planning board for some improvements on site. It's actually located on New Jersey State Highway Route 34 on the northbound side. Everybody knows Palm Plaza is also located in that shopping center. They were supposed to construct two drive-through access lanes and modifications to the parking lot. They did do some of the modifications, and they did do one drive-through parking facility, the Dunkin' Donuts, but they had not completed the other one, and they will not complete the other one. So they're asking for a bond release. Everything has been satisfactorily addressed. The bonded items have been improved. My office did do the inspection, and we found that everything is in accordance with plans, and we have no objection to the release of the bonds. The items on this application were not public improvements, so there is no maintenance bond. We just ask that if there's any outstanding escrow fees, that they be paid, if any.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro. So now we can open it to the public on this H1 and 2. If anyone in the public would like to be heard on these two items, now would be the time to call in.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's good. No, that's, so you're ready.
Okay, we're just waiting now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. Okay, gonna take a motion?
Yep,
Yeah,
I will
for
take,
both of them.
yeah. Well, first, we
Second.
have to close,
Yep, just close the public.
yeah, we're going to close the public portion.
Then, all right.
Oh.
We'll wait. We can wait.
All right, take a motion?
Okay, now you're right. Close it, now you're taking a motion to adopt.
Right.
To authorize the release reduction for H1 and H2 with the conditions noted by the township engineer.
Now second.
So it was moved by
Mark.
Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Peschetti.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you again, Mrs. Shapiro. Next will be ordinances for second reading. Ordinance number 2020-09, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance, by amending various sections of the same.
Move it.
Second.
We have to open it up now to the public.
You have to announce
Yeah.
Peschetti and Merwin.
Yeah, the first was Mr. Peschetti and then Mr. Merwin. We'll now open it up to the public. Anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this ordinance, now would be your time to call in. Thank you.
One public portion. Now we should have one public portion for all the ordinances.
Just wait.
Move we close the public portion.
Okay, I have a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Peschetti.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
See what it is?
Answer it.
Yeah.
Hello?
Pizza order.
Can we have your name, and
Address.
and address, please?
Nina Jacknos, one more time. Are these the proposals that Mayor and the engineer proposed 2 weeks ago to the council?
Yes.
Well, now we can,
Public audience so that they know what they are
Well-
before.
this is ordinance 2020-09, and it deals with amendments to the section of 250-78 of the Township Code dealing with stormwater management. And then basically, what it does is, these are technical changes that basically enables a developer or homeowner association is to be responsible for the maintenance of basins that may be approved as part of a site plan application, since those are the two entities as opposed to the way it was written before. It just said a person or a public agency. And then it also, the ordinance references and identifies the stormwater management facility maintenance as a defined term, and it states that that is the guiding document which the responsible party would have to follow in regards to managing the facility or the stormwater basin.
So that means when you put online and when you take a person who has septic and you give them sewer, they're responsible for everything?
No, it has nothing to do with sewer. It only has to do with stormwater basins. So if it's, you have an area where water collects, has nothing to do with sewer.
Okay, so an area that water collects right now, the township is responsible, correct?
Not necessarily. Certain basins have to be, or certain basins, the responsibility is a developer, certain basins, the responsibility could be a homeowners association.
So I don't understand what this ordinance is about, if it's just a little technicality. Who's paying more? The homeowner, the developer, or the town? In other words, the taxpayer.
It doesn't matter. No one's going to be paying more. It just, as opposed to the ordinance saying person, it identifies who the potential responsible parties could be. And that's either going to be the developer or the homeowners association. Because as part of an approval for a site plan, and there's a basin, those are typically the two parties who are responsible for that basin.
Okay, so this ordinance was just to identify who the parties would be.
To better clarify and identify what is meant by the term person as to identifying the two potential responsible parties.
Okay, thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it, we can close the public.
Yeah, now the public portion will be closed.
And now you need a roll call vote on the motion on adoption.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes, Mr. Merwin?
Yeah. A 1 minute thing from the time she raises.
That's fine. Right, we'll have to wait. Yep.
And this way we don't run into that problem.
Right. So at this point, though, I need a motion to adopt the ordinance 2020-09.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg-Belli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
Madam-
Next.
8 yes.
Next is ordinance 2020-10, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, revising Chapter 457 of the Old Bridge Township Code entitled Trees and Invasive Species.
If I could, Madam President, and for the public, this particular ordinance seeks to amend our Chapter 457 of the Township Code, which pertains to tree removal. Over the last couple of years, one of the things that we've noticed is that the process seemed to be cumbersome and also beyond the scope of what's needed or required under state statute. The code had previously had placed potential responsibility for the granting of a tree removal permit with the Shade Tree Commission, but statutorily, the Shade Tree Commission does not have that authority. The Shade Tree Commission's authority is actually pretty limited to situations involving public property, pretty much summarized. There is an incident situation where if the Shade Tree Commission determines that a tree is dangerous, then they could request that the conservation officer start a process for removing that particular tree. But in essence, what it does is streamlines the process for residents to obtain a tree removal permit, and the appeal process, to the extent that they're denied, it would come to this to the council, as opposed to going to the Shade Tree Commission and then coming to the council. And then it specifically identifies, calls out certain trees that we refer to those as heritage trees, which under the statute or the ordinance requires certain compensation for replacement, depending on the type of tree and the size of the tree. And it also further dealing with
spikes.
Well, not spikes. Well, spikes is a little bit apart, but it talks about the areas, exempt areas that are exempt. We sort of increase the areas that could be exempt under the ordinance, and also, one of the other things had to do with those individuals or entities who would be removing, doing work in the township, as opposed to the township sort of overseeing the whole process as who can remove trees and be on an approved list. Basically, that's not a requirement, but it does say that anyone who does intends to remove trees in the town, that they have to be licensed, that they have to have insurance. That's a requirement. So ultimately, when homeowners select a entity to remove their trees, those are questions that they need to be asking the contractor that they hire, as opposed to the township maintaining a list of approved vendors who can remove trees. So that's the sum and substance of this particular ordinance.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would just make a suggestion that anyone in the public wants to read the actual text of these ordinances. It's available on the website. If they just go to where the council agenda is and then drill down, and you can get the actual PDF of the entire ordinance.
Very good suggestion. Thank you very much, Mr. Pescetti. Now I'll open it up to the public. If anyone in the public wishes to be heard on this ordinance, now would be the time for you to call in. Thank you.
Feature code 10 activated.
Not in use. Okay. Right. Okay. It's open.
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close. Yes? Okay. Okay, motion to close.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Pescetti to close.
Second.
Second by Mr. Murphy.
This is to close the public portion.
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to speak? Go right ahead. I apologize. I'm so wrapped up in
Well,
this
you
1
can,
minute.
you can always close the public comment and
Yeah,
talk about it.
let's,
All right,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, then I'm going to go to you.
Right.
Well,
Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
yes.
Open it to the
Yeah, now we'll open it to the council if anyone has any questions.
Got a call? Closed. Could reject. I rejected it. Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
Under definitions, it's got climbing spikes. Now, are they prohibited? Under definitions, they have climbing spikes. Are they eliminating the use of climbing spikes? You know, I understand we want to utilize
I keep rejecting it.
the trucks and stuff, but it's in somebody's backyard, or if it's a tree that's being taken down, who cares if they walk on it with spikes? I mean, I can understand them testing, you know, climbing a tree to test it, you know, for its life, but you know, not using spikes. But if the tree's going to be taken down for the safety of the climber and the guy cutting it down, I think they should be able to utilize spikes for that purpose.
Yeah, I don't, you know what, Mr. Merwin, there's nothing in that I recall that prohibits the utilization. I think it's more to clarify exactly what they are.
That's why I was hoping that Nicole could answer that, since that's going to be under her.
Councilman Merwin, you'll notice in section 457-15, item C, at the last sentence of that paragraph, it shall be deemed a violation of the above standards to use climbing spikes or perform topping on a live tree as defined in 457-2 and will be subject to violations and penalties as per 457-17. So it's a penalty for live trees.
Okay, but if we gave them a permit to remove a live tree, would they be able to climb it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. I think the idea is that,
Yes,
right.
right, for the purposes of inspecting and
Correct.
topping it. Okay, right, that's all I care about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Merwin. Anyone else from the council? Being no hands, then I will ask for a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Pasquini.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is ordinance number 2020-11, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance, by amending Section 250-41, entitled Conditional Uses, public hearing to be carried to April 6, 2020.
Not on 2020-11. Public, oh, right, that's right.
Okay,
This is right.
yeah.
There was right, this needs to be carried. There was a problem with the notice, so 2020-11 will be carried to the April 6, 2020 meeting.
Is that because it wasn't notified to the planning board?
No. There was a problem with respect getting notice to neighboring municipalities. Under the statute, it has to be provided 10 days in advance. You can provide notice by email, but if you provide it by email, you have to receive a confirmation back. It's my understanding that, well, I think initially, someone in the clerk's office who was trying to do it couldn't get her emails out, and then the end of the day came and basically it's too late to get it out. So that will be continued until April 6, 2020. Right, and then the ordinance number, just again, this is a public announcement, ordinance number 2020-12, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge establishing a new Article 4, Section 39-44 in Chapter 39 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Pet Shops. That will be continued until the public hearing for that particular ordinance will be continued to the next council meeting, which is presently scheduled for April 6, 2020. We're not sure if that's going to happen, and if it's under the same circumstances as this, we may carry it again until we can get the public back, but it will not be heard at this time, and depending on that, we're able to meet on April 6th. So that's what it won't be heard tonight.
Okay, so that finishes the ordinances for second reading.
So I think at this point, you're going to go to the consent agenda.
Yep. Okay. Next
I
will
make
be
a
our-
motion.
Our consent agenda, I need a motion. Mr. Rizzoli.
Second.
Second, Mr. Pasquini. And now,
Just want to note on the consent agenda, item number C5, if you see at your place, there was an amended resolution. When we went out to bid, we only received one response back. That was from Central Jersey Waste and Recycling, which provided an annual cost of $1,394,161.32 and a 3-year cost of $4,182,483.98. And when he compared that to what the county shared service agreement was, that exceeded what the county had proposed for that same time frame. So as a result, that, you know, we indicated, administration indicated we're going to go out to bid to see if we can get cheaper by going out on our own. Obviously, it was not. So the recommendation is to reject that bid on the basis that it exceeded what we had budgeted.
thank you, Mr. So now we'll open it up to the public for the,
No,
no?
well, What's that? 3 and 4, they're budget transfers and, yeah, and an emergency temporary budget appropriation. You need 4?
I'd like the council to pass that just in case, because we
Okay.
have that state aid issue, so.
Back up,
Don't
okay.
have to remember, open to public for
Okay,
removal.
any separations on the council? Anyone, Mr. De Palma?
Just C10.
C10, okay. Anyone else for a separation? Okay, so I need a motion to pass the
Move the
balance.
balance.
Okay, Mark, Mr. Rizzoli for to move it, the balance, and Dr. Greenberg seconded it.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next will be C10. Mr. De Palma?
I separated to abstain from it.
I'll take a motion.
I'll
for
move it.
Second? Moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Mr. Merwin.
By who?
Mr. Merwin.
Mr. De Palma?
Abstain.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
No, under our ordinance, the reason you go to the public is for separation purposes. Okay? So, so at this instant, given the circumstance, I think it's appropriate just to move forward with,
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
6 yes,
Yeah.
1 abstention.
We're going to do the administrative report?
we have to hear from you again?
7, yes, 1.
I said, oh, I'm sorry. 7 yes, it's a good thing you're listening.
Clerk report now?
Between the
Yeah, you can
phones,
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and the ants up here.
In the end. Next will be the report of the clerk.
None at this time.
Thank you. Report of the
Nothing
attorney.
to report, thank you.
Okay, and then we have our administrative report.
Thank you, Council President. When I complete my report, Mayor is going to talk about the coronavirus issue with the township. Administrative report for March 16, 2020. Item number 1, precautions being taken concerning COVID-19. The township has been working closely with Middlesex County Department of Health to understand and act appropriately and accordingly to contain the spread of COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. The following is a list of closure and postponement. From the Mayor's office, the Mayor's 5K race, Run for Our Heroes, and the Junior Unity Bicycle Tour has been postponed until further notice. From the Department of Parks and Recreation and Social Services, all programs at Silver Lining at Old Bridge will be suspended starting Friday, March 13, 2020, until Friday, March 27, 2020. The tentative date of reopen will be Monday, March 30th, 2020, if possible. All Camp Robin activities will be suspended starting Friday, March 13th, 2020, until Friday, March 27, 2020. The tentative date of reopening will be Monday, March 30th, 2020, if possible. All Old Bridge Recreation Program, building rentals, field permits, Old Bridge Ice Arena, public session, figure skating classes, and hockey clinics will be suspended starting Friday, March 13th to Monday, March 23rd. We are not sure under the circumstances that we're going to be able to reopen after March 23rd. From the Old Bridge Public Library, the Old Bridge Public Library will be closed from March 13th through March 29th with the tentative reopening date of March 30th at 10 a.m. Staff will be available for phone-based service during normal operating hours starting on March 16th, but patrons will not be allowed in the building until library reopens. Please check our website for the most up-to-date information regarding township events. Item number 2, Census 2020. The constitutional mandates that all people be counted every 10 years in the nation's census conducted by the United States Census Bureau. New Jersey receives about $23 billion in federal funds each year based on the counts. So every count is vital for proper state funding. Historically, some areas of the township has had low response rate. In order to boost the response rate with such areas, the township will be taking additional measures for public outreach. All census-related information is posted on the township website and is located at www.oldbridge.com/census. Item number 3, Old Bridge Big Spring Fling Week. The Township of Mayor's Office of Economic Development will launch the town-wide Big Spring Fling Week campaign during the week of Saturday, April 4th, 2020, a week dedicated to shop, dine, and buy local in Old Bridge. We're asking our residents to show support to our businesses in Old Bridge by shopping and eating locally. The Shops, Dine, and Buy Local campaign has been developed to connect the Old Bridge community to all our businesses. Businesses that are interested in participating, please call Mayor's Office of Economic Development at extension 7920 or extension 2060. Item number 4, Old Bridge Municipal Alliance on Monday, April 27, 2020 at 6:30 to 8 p.m. There will be Mayor's Town Forum on Opioid Crisis hosted by Mayor Ona Henry, Township Council, Old Bridge School District, the Police Department, the medical community, and the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance for Prevention of Substance Abuse. The keynote speaker will also go over vape prevention. The goal is to inform and educate our community of the danger and abuse of prescription drugs and any harmful substances. This is very serious epidemic that we need to understand and feel comfortable talking about for the well-being of our loved ones. For information, please contact Karen Torrisi at extension 4022 or at K-Store at oldbridge.com. Number 5, recycling right. As a reminder to township residents, State of New Jersey is strictly enforcing recycling laws and regulations. Recyclable in plastic bags are not acceptable. No plastic bags of any kinds of any color can be used at the curb or they will be rejected. Contaminated recyclable can also be rejected. Download the new Recycling Coach app to learn more about how to recycle right. You can also set up scheduling reminders, storm alerts, and more. Information on the app can be found on our website at oldbridge.com/recycling. That concludes my report. I'm going to turn over to Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw.
And thank you, Mr. Shaw. Thank you, Council. I have a few comments I would like to make tonight about the crisis that we're facing here in town, our county, our state, our country, and beyond. I just want everyone to know that we're not going to let fear and panic influence our decisions. This administration is committed to take the needed steps that will control the spread of this virus, and we're also committed to not let this virus control us. But please understand, Council, the coronavirus, or COVID-19, is here in Old Bridge. Like the Council and the residents know, we have been working around the clock, preparing our community, planning, implementing, and taking the steps and actions which have never been had to made before in the past. I hope you understand and the public realize the effort and logistics required for taking such actions and taking such steps that have to be taken. I do believe we are ahead of the curve here in Old Bridge. We started last week closing buildings, postponing events, preparing for what we knew was going to be inevitable. So out of an abundance of caution and prioritizing the safe and well-being of our residents, our employees, and their families, starting tomorrow, all Old Bridge Township buildings will be closed to the public. Staff will be here to answer calls and conduct township business via email, phone, and online services that we currently offer. The public can access all our departments by phone and email. we encourage all to take advantage of the online services that we provide here in Old Bridge. We will be sending out information via our social media outlets. Please know I cannot affirm the accuracy of any information posted on other websites or pages relating to the township issues, and caution anyone who is basing their decisions and information on not officially put out by the township. False and exaggerated information is counterproductive, and I consider it very unprofessional. We are monitoring our communication with all the agencies, receiving information on a real-time basis, and are reacting to accordingly. Our Office of Emergency Management has been activated and will remain active. I have the utmost confidence in our ability to handle any situation as we move forward. All involved are committed and dedicated to our town and have conducted themselves in the most professional manner. I am very pleased and proud of our OEM. Everyone needs to educate themselves by going to the CDC website for clear, consistent, and up-to-date information relating to the virus specifically. Our first responders have been and will continue to assist and answer calls for service. As I said before, this is an evolving situation, and we hope by taking these drastic steps now, we can shorten the duration of this crisis. Council, I do not want to be long-winded, and I will answer any questions to the best of my ability. But please know there are certain details that we cannot share. That information can only be released by the Middlesex County Health Department. Mr. Tom Garrity is here for our OEM, and we are both available to answer any questions. And if anyone wants to call in from the public, or if the council has any specific answers, we will try to answer them. But as I said, certain information we are not able to release it. So I just want everyone to know that we are on top of this. We are doing everything in our power, and I think beyond, that we have to do to protect our community. The state government has taken steps today to limit access to a lot of our establishments. Please read the directives. Bars and restaurants are closed to the public starting 8 o'clock tonight, besides takeout and delivery services. These drastic times are taking drastic measures, so please visit all the websites that you need to get your information from. But township information will go out via our social media capability. I believe a red alert did go out tonight by PD, pretty much reiterating what I just said. Well, Council, I am available. And Mr. Garrity is here if Mr. Garrity wants to say a few words about our preparedness. And I thank Tom for all his efforts.
Good evening, all. Just a couple quick things. First, I'd like to thank the council for taking the proper precautions with social distancing. This is what we're asking all the public and their families to do throughout our state and throughout our country, because this thing is coming. We're in the early stages of it, and the more we get ahead of it now, the better off we'll all be later. I have talked to many residents who have been anxious, as I'm sure there's people in this room that are anxious. We all have loved ones that were, elderly and sickly, and this virus looks to really attack them. So it is in their best interest that we all act accordingly with social distancing. As you know, children are the carriers of this, so we all have to be smart and try to take proper precautions. In talking about the children, we have been in heavy contact with the superintendent of schools, who has been on board with us. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to him in the last couple of days. I can assure you that, as the mayor said, we have been engaged. We got engaged early with this back a couple of weeks ago after a structure fire, and we opened up our EOC in the building to start with, and then we felt best to make it mobile and remote so that we're not together and have an issue amongst ourselves, because that is the worst thing we can do. There are HIPAA laws which apply, so we cannot give you details, as the mayor said. And that's unfortunate, as some people are beating up some of the township government unfairly. As you all know, the president did declare this, so that has opened up some of the FEMA funding, and that is starting to process its way back into the states. That's going to take a little bit of time yet, but I understand that we're going to see a first delivery of sanitation agents for us in the next day or so. One thing I would ask of all of the homeowners is that if emergency services get called to your house, if you call them out, police, fire, EMS, try to meet them at the door. If it's a nice day, even step outside and let them have enough room to work, all right? Because they are the first line in defense, and we need to keep them safe as well. Thank you. And I'll take any questions anyone has.
We'll have any questions for Mr. Garrity? Mr. Peschetti.
I don't have a question, but just want to thank you, Mr. Garrity, for taking care of us, and thank you, Mayor. I know you guys are working behind the scenes constantly since this happened, and I've read some nasty things online as well, and it's awful. But I know you guys are working, and I'm sure I can speak for the residents that we thank you very much.
Just to alert that anything nasty said on any other pages, township page, OB-Town NJ, is a township official page where we disseminate information. We don't put out all these comments and things. That is an official township page that people should follow.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Rizzoli?
I just want to expand upon what the mayor said. The CDC does have an app that you can obtain through the App Store. It's for free. So advise the residents to get that app if they can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DePalma?
Garrity or Mayor, if the residents do have questions or concerns and they would like to speak with anybody, is there a phone number or email address that they should be looking to go to?
Yes, they are available. I believe we are posting them. The Health Department has a hotline, and I believe the State Department has a hotline, and the CDC has a hotline.
That is our most current information available. They update it constantly. We get hit with the information multiple times a day, so that is the two places to go.
And all the websites have a frequently asked questions. Every question I've had has been answered on those websites, about contact, about living in the same house, about everything that you could want to know, and they're pages long.
Okay. I only ask because I did have a couple of residents who their comments were, I don't use Facebook or any of those social media tools. You know, where can I go if in the event that I do need to have a conversation or get an understanding of what's going on or what I need to do?
My recommendation would be the CDC. They seem to have the most current, up-to-date, and real-time information.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the council? Dr. Greenberg?
I would just like to say for all the public that the township is collectively working very hard with many departments. The mayor, the business administrator, OEM, Tom Garrity, you've been amazing. Public health, EMS, dispatchers, police department, first responders, a representative from the hospital. And, you know, so when you take into account that this is changing very rapidly, there are a lot of people that are making really information possible and trying to keep the public safe. And it's not just one entity. People are working collectively, as you said, you know, superintendent of school. And I just want to compliment everyone for just the work that and the time that you put into it. And, you know, listen, we have to ride this out. We have to stay calm. We have to always have good judgment and be reasonable. It's time to, you know, really just, you know, stay together and help each other when we can. And I think you're doing a great job of steering the ship, and I want to thank you personally. Thank you, Tom.
Any other member have a question? Mr. Merwin?
Yes. I'd just like to know, let the public know, they're going to be our first line of defense. All right? it's imperative that they take all the precautions that they're supposed to be taking, the continued washing of the hands, the proper distancing, but they're going to be home, and they're not used to being home altogether, so it's going to be tough. But when you call for an ambulance and you have been exposed to this, it's important that they let the dispatcher know that. Even if, you know, you were cutting the hard roll and you cut your hand, well, that may be your immediate emergency, but if you've been exposed or you're under quarantine, it's very important that you give that information so that they're properly gowning up. You know, they're not gonna gown up on every first aid call, but the ones that they should be, we want them to be. We're trying to limit our exposure to our EMS personnel, who a lot of them are volunteers. You know, we have the paid service in the daytime and the volunteers at night. So it's important. The public will be our first line of defense. And like everybody says, we will get through this. And Mayor, I got to commend you. You've stayed out of that limelight. You're allowing your professionals to do what they're supposed to do. I know you're behind the scenes. I've been sticking up for you on Facebook, you know, so, you know, let's keep up the good work. But it's now, instead of trying to beat everybody up, it's time to try to make Old Bridge proud. Let's all stick together and we will get through this. Thank you.
Anyone else from the council? I'll just close the comments too by saying I really think, Mr. Garrity, you're doing an amazing job, as well as the team. And I think, like you said, calm and patience, and go to the proper sites to get the good information. And let's stick together. Old Bridge always has been that kind of a town. Amazing, our volunteers. We have to be together now, and we have to get through this together. And I think we really collaboratively, this group has done an excellent job trying to keep us all safe. So thank you again for all your hard work. And everyone out there, please go to the good sites and get the good information. Thank you.
Council President, I just want to add a couple of things that what we've been doing since last week, as Tom Garrity indicated, but we took decisive steps of setting up a conference call. We have every day, 11 o'clock, there's a conference call that includes hospital folks for the health department, mayor, myself, Tom, and Mike. We have Dave Cittadino, the superintendent of schools, the business administrator is on that, police department, Pat D'Onofrio, and so we have, and the council president is on it, and we every day discuss and keep ourselves, all of us, up to date. We have also created an app among us to communicate so that we can keep ourselves up to date on what's going on, the information. And again, it's important to recognize that this process is controlled by the Department of Health. OEM has, it goes from CDC, from Federal Department of Health to the State Department of Health to the County Department of Health. We only get certain informations. We have, and I keep council appraised. You've seen my emails coming to you, informing it to you. So there are a number of steps. I agree what you said, that we're doing behind the steps. We're behind the scene. We're taking all the steps, all the preventive measures, and making a right decision rather than rushing into making a decision. We're taking a time to make sure that we make those right decisions.
Yeah, just one other thing. Don't fall for the scams. The CDC is not out there going door to door. People are not collecting money from the township to supplement these businesses and everything. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Don't fall for the scams. We will let you know when it's coming through the town or anything else. So just keep that in mind, everybody.
Yep.
Just in closing, I'm not one for accolades for myself. It's the people on my staff and many of the people in this room that have come together on the numerous meetings that the people out in the public don't see. we've spent many hours in the last couple of weeks, uncounted hours that when they're done, they still have to go to work during the day to support their families, and they volunteer to do this. So I'd like to publicly thank all the department heads, the mayor, the business administrator, and all the department heads that are sitting behind me, because they really helped out. Thank you.
Madam President, just want to add, back on March 14th, Mr. Garrity and the mayor did issue a proclamation of local disaster emergency to the residents of Old Bridge, which under New Jersey statutory authority provides the OEM coordinator, the mayor, with some specific powers. One of them allowing us to conduct a meeting this evening without the public. Obviously, it's still subject to state statute. One of the other things with respect to the closing of public buildings, we will have a policy and procedure issued, so everyone will know what it is, who can come in, who can't come in, and then if there's questions relative to processing of permits, licenses, et cetera, as the mayor said, I encourage anybody to do that by phone or email, and to the extent that they can. And so I would also just mention that we received notice that the Assembly and the State Senate are taking up various bills that relate to the extension of time for filing of tax returns, deals with actually extending the date for OPRA responses to 21 days, and other items that, so I guess would be, the Assembly was supposed to act on today, and I think the Senate's supposed to act on tomorrow, dealing with workers' compensation and other things that would deal with, that will affect people as well. So, as we worked forward on all these things, and speaking to the mayor, he made an emphasis to make sure that we're following everything that we need to follow, that we're not certainly acting as a rogue government, which I wouldn't encourage or allow anyway, since that's not my MO, but also to try to get as much information out there for everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else for a comment from council?
Council President, Nicole needs one tree-related issue to discuss with the council and get an approval.
Before, just one thing, we need a motion to accept Mr. Shaw's administrative report.
Motion. Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg-Belli, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay, sorry about that, Mrs. Shapiro. Go right ahead.
Council, really quickly, there's a resident that lives on Brookside Avenue that has a twin heritage tree that is dead. I'm sorry? Brookside Avenue 244? Lawrence Harbor. So the resident is looking to remove a tree. We had given her a permit to remove that tree, but in our ordinance, it states that because it's a heritage tree, there's a replacement of 5 trees on her property, or a payment to the tree trust fund of $2,100. So we're asking, actually I'm asking on her behalf, because she could not attend, obviously, because we're closed to the public, and in lieu of the phone number just being available tonight, and I didn't have it handy with me, I said I would bring it up to the council. Should they, I don't know how we would do it, maybe Mr. Roselli by resolution. Waive the requirements, yeah. The requirement for the replanting and the payment into the tree trust funds. It's my recommendation because she has no space on her property for the replanting, one, and due to an email that she had provided, she does not have the $2,100 for the tree trust fund. So for both those conditions, it would be a hardship for her. So I'm asking on her behalf for leniency from the council to allow her to remove the tree at the cost it is to remove the tree without paying into the tree trust funds or replanting on her property. I do have a photo available of her home and the tree in question, if you would like me to circulate it.
I'll move it.
Second. Hold on a second. No, that's not about matter of trust.
Anyone have any comments? Mr. Pasquetti?
I have a few comments. One is, I would be all for what you're requesting, to, waive her fees. It's my opinion that we get rid of the tree ordinance altogether for residences. That's my opinion. The other thing I have is, if we go ahead and waive this, if we do it, does it set a precedent? And now someone else comes next week, and then the week later, and then all of a sudden it's like.
So basically, to the extent that a tree removal permit was applied for and denied, individuals have that right to appeal to the council anyway. So we're sort of, under the circumstances,
Have to do it.
well,
Get an ordinance.
we're abbreviating the process, because I think typically what would happen is, if made the application, it can be denied, and that individual would be able to apply to the council and have a hearing on that denial. And I think what you would have heard was just what you heard, that the fact is that you have a small lot, the tree's very large, there's no ability to replant on site, and I think so when people say a precedent, well, yes and no, but each case is taken on its own facts.
Okay, great, thank you.
I
Then
second it.
I'm in agreement to it.
Its own merit, right?
Yeah.
I think we had a motion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a motion.
Yeah, you
We had
made,
a motion and a second.
Uh,
Mr. Biscotti seconded it, didn't
yes.
he? Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Dr. Greenberg?
Sure.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yeah.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is discussion ordinance.
I think that's me.
Yes, sir?
Not supposed to be me, but Beth wouldn't just stay, so it has to be me.
Okay.
So basically, with this ordinance, the town has a list of, we have 50 public bus shelters. And there's a process by which there's advertising allowed on these bus shelters. And if we had a lease agreement with a prior vendor, that the person who advertised in those shelters, in addition to receiving some funds for the advertisement, also maintained and took care of those bus shelters. You have to, in order to lease township property, you have to allow it by ordinance. What this ordinance does is to allow us to go out to bid for these bus shelters. And then once we go out to bid, the situation where it's not necessarily the lowest bid, it's, the highest bid, you get on the rent. We've done it previously, that lease has expired. So this ordinance authorizes the township to go out to bid for these leases for these 50 bus shelters. They're identified in the ordinance. There's a list of where the locations are. And then it also permits, to the extent that these are on township property, there are additional bus shelters in the future that we can just add those without going out to bid again in the interim. I think the last lease, I think it's a 10-year lease. I forgot, I think that's what it is. So I would recommend that the council move this evening, if there's no objection, for introduction, so that we can get that bidding process going and those bus shelters taken care of.
Council President, I think it's important to council to recognize that the revenue is not as material income to that, but what they also do, part of it, is they maintain those bus shelters. And the cost of maintenance is tremendous. And that savings is really a good savings. So I recommend that council adopt this ordinance. Introduce that ordinance.
Madam Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Merwin?
Question, yeah. We don't own the bus shelters that are currently there now?
There's a hybrid, but the shelters are, I guess, arguably actually under the lease. The person who advertised put the shelters up, but it's our land. But under the lease, I think once they're up, they become our property. Well, under the lease, they do. So this would continue that. My sense is that there's probably very few bidders, but they become ours after they're installed. Yep.
you know, that would be my concern. What are we going out to bid? Are we just going out to get the highest advertising money, or?
Now, part of the bid specs is that they have to maintain it, take care of it. If it's broken, they fix it.
But not replace them?
If necessary, they'd have to replace them. Let's say there's an accident.
No, I meant.
No, not unless not unless they're damaged.
Right, okay.
Where do you report that to? Because, you know, some of them are really bad.
Well, depending, some of them may not be ours. There's some that are state property versus our property. But if there is,
They usually call.
right.
Call, we direct
Our
them.
public works guy.
Yeah, road department.
Who's our public works
Yeah,
guy?
they usually,
Public Works.
we direct them.
Who's public works?
Yes, Dr. Greenberg?
Who's our public works
Kyle.
guy? Kyle.
Most likely more than 50 bus stops at terminals, bus
Shelters.
It's our property, right, correct, right? Yeah, yep. Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Merwin?
Yeah, just one other question. I had raised this many years ago to Amachu, and back then it was a concern with the laws as you know, what we could limit into advertising and everything. Because we own all the light stanchions in the parking lots that we could put advertising things on. I mean, it may be something that we might want to look at as a revenue-producing opportunity in the same contract, you know, with the same.
I get, we mean the light poles? in the
Yeah, you
municipality?
had the light stanchions inside the parking lot, you know.
I guess that might be, I mean, I think it might be different. You could try, it'd be a different bidder, because I don't know if they'd be one and the same. But as I recall, the leases actually do limit the type of advertisement that you could have. Like, can't have any lewd advertisement and things like that.
Well, then that may work, and maybe we want to entertain that, and you have, you know,
You do, I would do it under separate ordinance.
Okay.
All right.
So can we move it?
We doing this for first reading?
Yes.
Or we gonna
No.
take a?
Nope, moving for introduction.
This is
Okay.
Mark.
I'm gonna tell Ken.
Yep.
This is Mr. Roselli's.
I'm gonna tell Ken.
Okay,
Introduce.
All right, we have a
motion?
motion?
Yeah, we moved it.
Okay, and second?
John and Tony.
And Tony, okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, for first reading, Mr. De Palma
Yes.
and Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Merwin.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty.
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yes.
Public hearing would be tentatively scheduled for April 6th.
And next we'll go to? Yep, to public comment. So now would be the opportunity for anyone who wishes to call in and have a public comment for this evening.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
You have to give it a few seconds. Okay.
That's what that is. This is YouTube. That's YouTube. Yeah. It did not disconnect.
Nicole, this won't be on a timer. It's subject to chair, council president's discretion relative to the time.
Oh, you got your way. You got your way.
How much time?
We had a motion for that.
You don't want any
3
time.
minutes? 3? Nicole? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. "45 seconds, it's been open?" So we're gonna-
I can sing, I know Sinatra pretty well.
Yeah. Wait a couple more seconds. Let's wait a minute.
Make a motion, we close the public portion.
Okay.
Is there anyone for council member
Have
comment?
a roll call on the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Hoo-hoo.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
8 yes to close public portion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Council comments? Anyone for council
No, I'll
comments?
take that back, I'm sorry.
Yep. Yes, we're going to do council comments?
No, go ahead, you can
Yeah, all right.
Nobody wants to talk. What do you want?
Yeah, we'll go around.
Amacho, could I get a update on that Lawrence Harbor Library, how we're making out when you get a chance in the future?
I have some information to share on that subject. I met with the library board last Wednesday. As we know, the building in Lawrence Harbor, the library building, is very old, and it's been deemed uninhabitable or unoccupiable because of a structural defect. On the east-facing wall, I believe, has become compromised and allowed water to enter the building envelope, and as a result, the building has tested positive for mold. We are making plans to relocate the services to the community center, which is directly across the parking lot. The library board has agreed to maintain services in Lawrence Harbor out of that building, computers, and it's a great opportunity, they feel, to enhance the programming for Lawrence Harbor because of its location right on the waterfront there. It has some outdoor activities, and coordinate it with before and after the summer camp in the summer. And the building is underutilized, so it's a win-win situation for everybody, the township, the library, and the residents in Lawrence Harbor. And we hope to, right now all the libraries are closed, so it's a moot point, but we hope to, they were very excited about the opportunity.
Are you through, Mr. Merwin, or? Okay. Anyone down here? Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you, Council President. In light of the health emergency with the Wuhan virus, I suggest that we go into our summer mode and have one combined meeting a month so we can conduct township business, and especially now we have facilities closed. I'd like to make a motion on that, if that's what we need to do.
I would suggest you're going to modify your schedule.
Right. Yeah, no, what? Okay. Anyone else have a comment on that?
No, I agree.
Okay, so who would make a motion? John? Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. De Palma.
Mary, you made the motion?
No, Mr. Rizzoli. Oh, no, Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I did.
No, he seconded.
No, Mr. Rizzoli made it.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Rizzoli made it. Mr. Rizzoli made it. Okay. John's.
No, it was Eric that seconded it.
Okay.
Too many.
Okay, so now make this clear. We're having one a month, or are we just going to
Combine, no,
go,
what you suggest
just one a month, or
combine,
just go with the flow and see? One a month? Okay. Okay. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
8 yes.
Yeah, Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you, Council President. And also in light of the health emergency, I reached out to yourself, the mayor, the BA, and a couple of members of council. I'll be coordinating with Matt Mercurio. We're going to try to set up senior shopping with our local supermarkets, try to give them their own time period since they are designated high risk. We're currently working on that, so unfortunately I have no exact time when that's going to be in place, but we're going to be putting it up on the township website as soon as we get that available to our seniors in the community.
Yeah, we'll do the press release on that.
Also with that, I had a resident reach out to me, and she said that she would be willing to do, and we probably need more people, obviously, to get a team together, do the shopping for the seniors, to get a list, and, if there's a way to, she just actually reached out to me this evening, and, if there was a way to, to coordinate that, she would be certainly, in favor of leading that campaign.
We can coordinate that effort through the Parks and Rec Department. Anna, if we can reach out to Anna tomorrow and give her the information. But we are prepared to do that ourselves.
Oh, okay.
But
So I'll
if anyone-
she'll want to volunteer, I'll give you their name. Okay, thank you.
That goes Parks and Rec.
Then why not?
Thank you.
Now it says it's open. Well, it says not.
Does anyone else have any comments from the council?
I do, Mayor.
Yes, Mr. De Palma?
I'll make it quick, I promise. I thought I was going to speak beforehand, but just want a quick statement I put together today. As we embark on unknown territory, I want to ask our residents to come together. Now is the time that we prove once again the strength of the American spirit and the fortitude of our citizens. We as a nation have endured wars, famine, depression, and more. And at the end of it, we have come out a better country. I believe that in the course of the events occurring with the COVID-19 virus, we will come together as a nation, state, and township once again. It is not the time to look at each other as political party, religion, or race. We should look at each other as one group, a group of Americans. It is time yet again that we put aside our minor differences and align our resources and ourselves for the good of our community. Unity above division, care and love in the place of fear. Anyone could look on the news or social media and start to see the wonders of people helping others, whether it be local businesses like those in Old Bridge that are offering our school children lunch, no questions asked, or others looking to assist, as Anita just mentioned, others in shopping for essentials should they not be able to or unsure if they should leave their homes. The doom and gloom being portrayed is not the reality. The reality is the human spirit is strong, resilient, and always willing to assist others in time of need. I encourage everyone to check on your family and friends and neighbors. Many just need a friendly voice to brighten their day and calm their nerves. In the age of social media and other electronic communication methods, make it a habit to communicate with your network of family, friends, and neighbors more regularly. President Adams is quoted, "To be good and to do good is all we have to do." Keep in mind that as you navigate the coming days and weeks through these events, a calm mind and demeanor wins the day. And just finally, I would just like to special thank you to all the doctors, nurses, medical professionals, and first responders for their continued diligent work in protecting our community, even in the face of extraordinary events. Thank you.
We open the public portion.
Madam President, Council, apparently there may have been some technical difficulties with Mr. Summers' phone system. So what we're going to do is do it, if he would, I think a motion to reopen the public comment.
Motion to open the public comments.
Second.
Okay. Hello. Old Bridge Township meeting?
Yes, hi.
You could just hold on first, because just hold on. Just ask her to hold on, Stella.
Hang on 1 second.
So you have a motion and a second to reopen. Need a roll call?
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? President Sohar? 8 yes to reopen. Okay, ma'am, can we have your name and your address, please?
Yes, Alicia Rahacek, Ward 6.
Okay.
Point of order, please.
All right, go ahead.
My point of order is, since we are attempting to do this via new technology, we need to extend the time or have somebody specifically sit with the phone line communications. My point of order is, can we ask, or may I ask, as a resident of this township, that we extend the time for open public comments? Secondly, can the, sorry, I have to read my notes. Can we also make the the council agenda more freely available within the website as opposed to digging further in?
Do you want me to answer her? Okay. The council agenda is right on the front web page, where it says agenda and minutes. It's right on the web page, the first one.
Okay. For some of us, it does take us a little while
to be able to get to the county page, the township page. Beyond the point of order of extending online time while we're doing this open meeting via the internet, I have other comments, if I may make some.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. 2 questions. First one, tax payments. It's something that everybody is probably worrying about. Will there be an extension? Second question, which I will take.
One moment, let him answer.
The tax payments are not due until May. So if there is a need that, if, we have this emergency continue and we'll have this problem continues, I'm pretty sure that the state will take an action item to extend the time.
All right.
It has to come from the state. It is not an authority of the township, but I'm sure state will will recognize the issue. But we have a varieties of way to make payments. You have an online payment. We'll create a Dropbox system, and you can certainly mail in. So most of our payments, probably 80 to 90%, comes through those methods.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to say that, it's difficult to hear over the phone when we turn off the media device. Okay, so it's very hard to hear the commentary from the online phone call. But second question, and this is something that I'm noticing that is happening. There's at least 1 or 2 businesses and many businesses throughout the state that obviously through the state of emergency we are closing early. Many people throughout the state and throughout the country are basically on gig economy, including some small businesses. Okay, there is a business in Browntown that is closing because 1, their shipment did not come in, and 2, they can't stay open because the landlord is requesting rent. Is the township doing anything for small businesses to be able to maintain? Is there any county or government or state government assistance that anyone can acquire at this particular point? And that's my last question. And in honor of Ann Miller, I hope more people call in. And thank you to all of our first responders, all of our council people, and everyone in OME for doing a great job at this particular crisis. But we will get through it because we're Old Bridge proud. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments.
I'll take my answer online, so I will be hanging up now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments, and this is a work in progress like everything else. This is the first night, so we are definitely, moving, I think, in the right direction. We have some little wrinkles here and there, but I think it's going to be okay.
And to her point, we actually did have someone monitoring the phone as the calls came in, and also we extended the time to wait for phone calls. So we were doing those.
Yeah.
As relative to the availability, I said I think there were some bill packages. I think there were some bill packages that the state were considering relative to some of those issues. I think small business would behoove small businesses to certainly contact the state SBA, check the state website, and to the extent I become aware of any bills that are formally signed by the governor, then I'll pass them along. We can post them on the website.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are we good? We take a motion.
Close the public portion?
Yep.
Motion again?
You want to close the motion to close the public?
First, we have to make a motion to close the public portion.
Second?
Okay, motion by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy? To close the public portion. Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? President Soha?
Yes.
Now to adjourn.
Now I need a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Mr. Merwin, second by Ms.
Oh, thank you.
All right, folks, let's make sure we don't leave any food.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? President Soha?
Mr. Rizzoli.